bag, review of graphing linear inequalities. Just a review, getting ready for Monday. This is where instead of working with equal signs, we're going to be working with our different inequality signs. If you look at all 6 of these questions that we're going to kind of look at very briefly, they don't have equal signs, they have inequalities. You might remember the line type, solid, dash, the shading, whether we're shading above or below. That's all coming back. So solid lines are going to come from anything that has an equal sign. And so solid lines are going to be less than equal to or greater than equal to. Okay, anything with an equal sign is going to be solid. That was something that I know the students in my class kind of were getting pretty good at. They didn't necessarily have to remember, they did remember. They didn't have to look at the chart every time because they were able to just kind of remember that solid lines have equal signs. That means that the dashed lines just do not. So definitely not anything crazy. If you got an equal sign, you're solid. Otherwise, you're going to end up being dashed. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and just put a little separator in here because on the other side we have shading. Again, this is 100% a review. We're going to be reviewing shading, reviewing graphing inequalities. So above is going to be anything that is greater. And so that's going to include greater than or equal to, and also a plain old greater. Okay? And then of course below is going to be anything that is less, like less than or equal to, or just a plain old less. Now you might see a chart laid out like this. This is probably the easiest way to do it. For example, if you were going to work with, I'll get a little highlighter here. If you were going to work with question number 1, which is that greater than symbol, the first thing you do is you look on the left side for it, and I see it right here. And so I'm noticing that this is going to be a dashed line. So I'm going to put dashed right here. And then you look for it on this right side. It's a greater than symbol, which is this corner right here, which means it's going to be an above. So we've got a dashed above line. And at this point, we should be rock star graphers. We have graphed like 50 lines this week, and we're doing pretty good. So I'm going to think about my M and the B. M equals 1/3, B equals -5. I'm going to go down to -5 right here. Do a little rise over run, rise over run. And before you draw your line, remember it should be a dashed line. And all the dashed line means is, you know, give it some little breaks, like you did a little eraser on it. If it's your first time in my class, when it comes to coloring these, it does not have to be perfect. What I recommend is that you do about 3 seconds worth of coloring, right? So for about 3 seconds, I'm just going to go 1, 2, 3. I like to do squiggly lines. I like to do it kind of opposite how the line looks, but again, just 1, 2, and really it doesn't take very long at all. Okay, obviously if you have a big highlighter it can be easier. Even with a pencil it's not that bad. Don't work too hard, okay? Don't work too hard. Just get a little bit of some coloring on there. At this point, that's basically it. We're just gonna do 6 quick questions. We've only got 5 more, and we're just gonna power through these. So number 2, I'm gonna again look at this inequality. You know what, let me get another. Let's make this look a little bit nicer. Let's go with yellow. I'm gonna look at this symbol right here, which is a less than or equal to. That tells me it's gonna be a solid below graph. Again, I'm seeing less than or equal to, so I look right here, solid. I'm seeing less than or equal to, so I look right here, below. It's a solid below graph. My M is -2/1. My B is -1. And these are really, you know, hopefully you're thinking, wow, only graphing one line for a question doesn't take very long, right? Start at -1. I'm going to go up and left. 1, 2, 1. 1, 2, 1. I'm going to draw a solid line. And then I need to shade below. So one thing is that sometimes it's hard to tell which side is above and which side is below. What I normally think about is imagine that this line is a roof, okay? And which one of these sides is below the roof of the house, okay? If I'm on this side, this is where the rain would be falling, right? The rain is out here. If I'm on this side, this is where the home is, right? This is where the inside of the house is. And so when I think of below the roof, it kind of helps me figure it out that I should be coloring this side. 1, 2, 3. I was going to do yellow. Dang it. Totally blew the color scheme already. All right, we've done these 2 questions. We feeling okay? Any questions so far? All right, we're going to knock out 4 more questions. Welcome back. Taking a little bit extra time. Hurry. Okay? Work on this classwork, or not classwork, sorry. Just review. But again, I'll give you some bonus points if you follow along. Okay. Yeah. Moving it faster. Going down to number 3, picking up the pace. This is going to be a dashed below line. This is going to be dashed below. So I see that it's a less than. No equal sign means dash. Less than means below. And then I'm going to graph it really fast. 1. I'm going m equals negative 5 over 2. B equals 1. Up 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Left 2. Make sure that I'm going left because it's negative. And then I need opposites. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2. Now this needs to be a dashed line, so before you work too fast, make sure that you get it nice and dashed. And we need to color below. Again, I think about it like a roof. Which side is below the roof? I'm going with this side over here. All right. I want to pick it up because the clock is ticking. Let's just keep going. This is going to be a solid. This is going to be above. We've got an m equals 4 over 1. We've got a b equals 2. For right 1, down 4, left 1. This is a solid line, which is always easy. And I'll wait for you guys to kind of help me out here. Should I be coloring side A or side B? I heard a couple people. Should be side A. I'll be giving you bonus points on the quiz if you finish this up. All right, then we got 2 more at the bottom here. Looking at the bottom, and these are 2 really quick questions at the bottom. We've got, again, inequalities, so we need to think about this being a less than or equal to. Equal to means solid, less than means below. But I also notice that this is a weird graph where we have only 1 letter. This is a y less than or equal to 6. There's no x at all, okay? That tells me it's going to be a Hoy-Vux graph, which is just a silly thing to help us remember horizontal and vertical. And so y equals should be horizontal. It's ugly. So I'm going to start at 6, and I'm going on the y-axis. I'm going solid, horizontal. I'm going straight to the side. And these graphs are always a little bit weird when it comes to coloring. The y graphs are normally super easy, right? Shade below the line, that's ultra obvious, right? The line goes straight across below the line. Cool, right? Super obvious. Straight across makes everything kind of easy. Then we've got the second one here. I'm dealing with a greater than symbol. No equal sign. That means it's going to be a dashed line. It's a greater than. That means above. Again, I see that this is a weird graph because it is a x-only graph. That reminds me it's going to be a VUX graph, where VUX means vertical, which means that my line is going to be going straight up and down like that. Now, these are always the craziest graphs, these x graphs. So, remember, our first point is going to go on the x-axis, which is unusual. It's the only time this happens. We're going to put our first point right here on the x-axis. It's a vertical graph, so it's going to be going straight up and down. That undefined slope you might remember about. And then these x graphs, they always just have one more thing that's annoying to them, okay? When it comes to these graphs, and we need to color above, this is where it doesn't really make much sense, right? How can you color above this perfectly straight up and down line? It doesn't really work like a roof, because instead of a roof, it's more like a wall, okay? When it comes to these x graphs, and we need to shade above or below, which doesn't make a lot of sense, we're going to use our old school technique. X is greater than, and we're going to think about this like it's an arrow. Now, here's the annoying part about this trick. This does not normally work. It only works for these x graphs. So these x graphs are a little bit tricky. They're a little bit annoying. They've always got a little bit extra. But before we finish, right, we did all the questions. I just want to prove to you, if you look at number 4 looks like the arrow is pointing this direction, but we didn't shade side B. We shaded side A. So you cannot use this rule if it says y equals, only for the x graphs. All right, that's it. That's the quick little review.